there were numerous trucks and about 20 cars because, you got, this is just for a commercial. You got the people in the commercial, you got everybody from hairdressers to set designers to whatever. I'm not, so, are you confident while you lived in this town that when you go to wherever you're going, whether it's the basketball courts, shooting outside a store, or in a residence, that you're not going to be blocking traffic, that you're not going to impact the quality of life of our residents or our businesses?
I am confident. I mean, there are going to be people from key departments there, like you're talking about, whether it's makeup or prop or set design, but it's a small crew. So each department's going to have one key member, maybe a secondary person. The script itself, which I've written, is designed to have, for the most part, with the exceptions of the scenes in the main house, 2 actors in one scene, because frankly, we can't afford to pay too many actors in one scene. So I am confident that we can do it in a way that is not disruptive to the town.
How many days do you think you'll be shooting in Tenafly?
I would say 2.5 weeks.
So
Yeah. Two to 2.5
You're not
weeks.
planning? Are you planning on working on weekends too?
It's a 6 out of 7 schedule.
So you're talking about 15 working days,
Absolutely.
not including, and no Sundays.
No, and then most of those days, I'd say maybe 6 days, are going to be within one house, because 40% of the screenplay takes place at the one house.
Okay, and do you know the location of that house?
We're debating that. In an ideal world, I wrote it for my parents' house on Knickerbocker Road. The sound there is not great. The sound at the back of the house is terrific. The sound near Knickerbocker, it's not great, and we don't have the money to fix sound in post.
You would
So we'll
understand,
see.
you grew up on Knickerbocker Road, that putting 10 cars, even if they're orderly on one side of the street, can be a tough situation where it might make more sense to park most of the vehicles that you don't have to go in and out of on a regular basis on a side street.
Absolutely. And even like if it is that house, the Borgies lives next door. I don't know if you know them. They're very good people. We've spoken to them about, can we put some housing here? Can we put some actors
Okay.
here? Can we put some-
Lisette, under normal circumstances, what is it, about $100 a day a location, or?
It's $100 per day per location if it's private property. If it's public property, it's $750 per day per location.
Okay. How many times would you be on public property? In other words, either shooting on a sidewalk downtown or in the basketball courts?
Well, I mean, we're still working with a line producer. We're still figuring specifics out, but it's enough so that it's pretty cost prohibitive the way it is.
Okay.
There's a scene on the football field. Yeah.
So what's the total? You see, you
What's the
scribble
total?
out. Yeah.
That total's a little misleading because that's presuming that we could shoot out, say, all of the kitchen scenes in one day. I think we anticipated that the way it is now, it would be at least $5,000 to $7,500 in permit fees. And, from sad to ultra low budget film, we can't afford that.
So it's between 5,000 to 7,500.
Yeah,
And you're looking to have a substantial reduction from
we
there.
are.
Okay. At least we understand where we are.
Let me ask you one last question. If we were to work something out so that you decide to stay in town, would you be amiable and agreeable to notifying the borough clerk on a daily basis as to where you're going to be shooting the next day?
Oh, of course. Plus, not only the next day, we'll have that
You'll have
way in
that-
advance, and if something changes, absolutely we'll let them know.
Would you consider
Pre-production.
Jules in your shed?
The reason I'm asking that is, it's going to be our judgment as to whether we need traffic control or anything like that, not theirs. And we may be able to come to an arrangement on the fees, but if police are needed for any reason, those are sets fees. Those are probably nothing we can do about that.
Sure. No, we're very amenable to that, because good pre-production is going to make production better for everybody, both the town and us.
All right, Tony and then Mark. Tony and then
Parking is prohibited on Knickerbocker Road. So
Okay.
make sure we understand.
Parking is prohibited on
Sure.
Knickerbocker Road? Mark?
I think I know that from a parking ticket.
Good.
So what fee would fit within your budget?
I mean, I think any producer would say 0, and if they don't say that, they're a really bad producer. The lower, the better, I think. You know, we're looking at a bunch of different towns.
Your total budget is how much again?
Our total budget, and this, again, everything in filmmaking is in flux. Our total budget right now is $150,000 excluding post. That's better read as $125,000 because some of that, you know, we paid a casting director this week. We are not allowed by SAG, Screen Actors, to exceed $200,000 excluding post as well. Because if we do, we're no longer a SAG ultra low budget. We're a modified budget, and instead of paying our actors $99 a day, we have to pay them something like $629 a day. So in an ideal world, permit fees would be as minuscule as the town could possibly make them. Now, with that said, this is something we want to do because we also have to offset the lousy tax incentives of New Jersey. So in order to put Tenafly on screen, it has to make the most financial sense for the film. And for the film to do that, it can't be spending a lot of its percentage on above-the-line fees, on permit fees. It's just life. If anybody wants to invest more money, we can also talk about that.
Addressing the people at the table, I've always been concerned about our fee schedule for filming because I thought it's kind of discouraged films, especially younger people, students that want to film. I know over the years, a number of students have come in, heard about the fees. Lisette, I think you're aware of this, right? And
Well, the student fees is only $25 per day per location.
you're not going to school now, are you?
Should I re-enroll at the high school? I mean, no,
Yeah,
sadly,
you're gonna flunk it.
not at the moment. I mean,
So I think we should encourage this sort of activity. I think it's great. They're gonna be filming in town, and we should probably, I'm not understanding if we have separate charges for the police if they're needed for traffic control.
It's separate.
Right, that's all separate. So I'm not sure other than what we have to expend that would justify.
There's really no cost to us.
There's no cost to us, so, I mean, I would give them a substantial discount.
Well, I would too. I
Maybe
mean,
equivalent to 1 or 2 days on private property, so we have a permit, and if there's any issues.
My only concern is, even though Wally is a local guy, and his family has been contributed a lot to our community. Once again, we try to be consistent. So the next guy that comes in, you don't want to treat him 100% differently. You got to try and Dan, you had your hand up, and then Tony.
Yeah, I just want to know how often we get movie fees.
We get maybe like about 7 filming permits per year, and 6 out of 7 are the student ones. Like, there was one Optimum commercial last year.
Well, I think we can say, if somebody comes in here for a permit for a commercial, and they want to shoot it in somebody's house, like was done in the house down the block from me. It was actually a commercial was shot in my house about 15 or 20 years ago. And they give you a nice chunk of change to use your house. It's only for one day. I would say that there's no reason to change our fees for that sort of, it's a commercial entity, and as much as we'd like our residents to make some money, it does tie up the street a little bit. So, but I think this is different. Since I don't hear anybody saying too much, I would propose, since it's roughly $5,000, I would propose $500 with a $250 return, and everything goes smoothly. But that's, I'm not going to make a motion. I'm putting that on the table. Tony?
I think we have to treat him differently amongst everybody else because he is a borough resident. Of course, he's born and raised here, so I mean that has to say something for the opportunity. I'm willing to do it for just $100 and just but with the caveat that any
200.
expenses paid by that are required by the borough of Tenafly, he's going to have to.
Well, you keep in mind that the CFO's behind you just turned green.
It's all right, I think we can afford it.
Well, any other comments? You want
So
to make
you're
it?
at 500, I'm at 200, he's at 100.
This is a heck of a way to run a business,
So
right?
five,
You're
that's
going
it.
down.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all ballpark for price
Does
of
anybody
money.
have a problem with $100?
I don't have a
No,
problem.
no problem.
I
Okay.
mean, the
So-
town's revenue, it's really minuscule and we
So,
can't with somebody. so.
We're gonna let you go for $100. We don't like to treat you differently because you're not a star yet.
No.
We treat stars differently, but with a couple of caveats, and that is, give our borough clerk as much notice as possible as to where you're gonna be shooting, unless that can be passed along to the police. And two, if you're going to be shooting, so for example, at the basketball courts, we also need a lot of notice, and if that comes in, you gotta give recreation. Not that there's any activities planned there now, but during the summer, there may be a summer league there, the camps sometimes go there. And nothing that can't be moved around, but obviously, if we had notice, it's a lot easier.
Absolutely.
And when do you intend to basically film?
Well, we had been looking at the end of May.
Just ask simply.
There's a myriad of reasons as to why that may be pushed till June. There's an actress that we like.
We
who's a-
try to say the sooner the better.
We say so too, but you know, we're in talks with 2 new directors. It's, well, I mean, even independent film seems to have the whiff of Hollywood about it. So most of our days are spent on phone calls with managers and agents. We certainly, you know, we're talking about 2.5 weeks. We should be wrapped by the end of June at the very latest. That's the goal.
Working high school.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Sounds
All
like a
right,
plan.
I hope that fits within your budget.
It certainly does, and
Question
thank
for you, like,
Okay.
for the, let's say the basketball and the public scenes, is there a way to time the filming when kids are in school? Basketball, let's say.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, small things like
course.
that, school's still in session.
That's the problem, June is already
Right,
out.
3 o'clock when I was in high school, I ran straight to the basketball courts. So something.
Now they
keep
go
in
to the
mind.
soccer cage.
Oh, yeah, that thing's popular too.
You know, the interesting thing about those scenes is that it's really only important to the screenplay that it not be baseball, because he's a failed baseball player. So it can be other sports,
Okay.
which we can talk about. But yeah, there's definitely a way to shoot it before school's out. Absolutely.
You're paying the actors $99?
The SAG states that you have to pay a SAG actor $99 per day and do a 17.3% pension and health deposit.
I'll do it for 85.
Right? Well, you're not SAG. See, I'm not SAG, so I actually don't have to pay myself anything for the film.
He
There's
said-
not a whole lot of makeup
He
you
said-
got to do either.
He's doing it
Well,
for free.
he
He's
said-
doing it for free.
He said failed baseball. It's starting to sound like they made this role for me.
Exactly. Well, that's Michael's role. He's playing a foul baseball player for minor league.
All right, well, listen.
But we
wish
really
you-
appreciate
We wish you
this.
good luck, and, you know, you'll keep us informed.
We certainly will. Thank you so much.
You're very
Thank
welcome.
you. Good luck with the
Good
rest
luck.
of the day. Thank you.
I love the way we're tough negotiators. 500, no 200, no 100. We would, yeah, a few more minutes, we would have paid him. Okay, Elizabeth Cady Stanton and, I almost said Mark Anthony, Susan Anthony, presented by the HPC. And David, you've been here a couple times about this, so we don't need to go into too much detail. We don't need the full history. I think what's most important is you tell us what you want to do, where you want to do it. You can describe, perhaps, if you have a sense of what the monument's going to look like. We all know who Susan Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton were and their importance to the community. I don't think you have to sell us on that.
Okay. What we have in mind, well, at the present time, what we envision is a bench in Victorian style with Elizabeth Cady Stanton sitting on one side and Susan Anthony on the other, and space for people to sit in between and have their picture taken. We feel that this will be a pull for downtown business. Where it could be in Hyde Park, the Rose Garden in Davis Johnson Park is an idea. And of course, this is already been taken for, might be so for Sergeant Osborne. How much is this going to cost? Well, that question is really too early to say. I just got an estimate from a place in Yonkers, Randolph Rose Collection, and came to $68,800. That's plus up to 10% for delivery. Now, who's going to pay it? We're going to try to raise the money ourselves. But what we need from you is a commitment for the where, that we don't want this 6 to 7 foot long monument and no place to put it. So if you can commit yourselves that way. Also, we could use some seed money. If it is at Hyder Park, I understand they have like $14,000 that been around for a number of years. 10,000, whatever. I don't know the exact figure.
Well, David, first of all, where that money's concerned, I don't believe the mayor and council control that money.
Okay.
All right. However, from a personal perspective, I would have no problem if you can get. Is that chamber money?
Yes.
Okay. If you could get the consent of the chamber to spend that money that way, I can't imagine anybody at this table saying no. And I think Hyler Park would be a wonderful place to put it, but we want to figure out where in Hyler Park.
Yes.
Also, I think what you describe as the monument itself sounds wonderful. It really does.
Yeah.
I can't wait to sit between them.
We want life size. This is going to be very representative of Tenafly, so it has to be right. It has to be good.
When I have a concert down there, I'll figure at least 2 people are there watching.
Not hearing, but watching. Who has been involved has been, we're honored to have the great-great-granddaughter of Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Colleen Jenkins, who will talk to you very shortly. And Penny Coleman over there has written a book on, there's an author on, and also Andrea Orlando, a local attorney. So you've heard from me a lot. So I'd like to let Colleen do a word.
Thank you. Nothing like controversy, right? What I have is a different concept of the statue. And actually your park, Hyler Park, is a quintessential public forum. And what I love is the dynamic aspect of these 2 women. During the time in Tenafly, they essentially went from Maine to Texas to California. And you can imagine trains, buckboards, everything. They did a Lyceum circuit for 12 years. To me, these are very dynamic women, not sitting on a park bench. So what I love is the concept of a lectern, with these 2 women approaching a lectern, but there is a void right in front of the lectern where anybody can come and have their voice heard in a public forum. I just love that idea. And for instance, in Elizabeth Cady Stanton's hometown, every single 4th of July, the Declaration of Independence was read from that lectern. By contrast, Elizabeth Cady Stanton was involved in writing the Declaration of Independence for women, called the Declaration of Sentiments, except it was tweaked, all men and women are created equal. So to me, I think that this is a lectern where anyone's voice can be heard, and it's a little bit more dynamic than a park bench. So maybe there should be a design commission, or design group. That's just my point of view. I have gifts for you. This is my great-great-grandmother. You may not recognize her as that age. Here's my business card, and I have 3 books about the history. The author is right over here. One is for your municipal offices, one is for your schools, and one is for your library.
Well, thank you very much for that. Thank you.
Good.
And that's a great idea, too. It really is.
Well, I love it that people can announce their candidacy, children can have public speaking competitions there. To me, it's get out and make your voice heard in a quintessential public forum, Scholar Park.
Well, I think it's nice to have these 2 different, entirely different concepts. I think that we need to get a recommendation from our HPC, and then we can talk about it, but, being that that's their purview.
Right.
Max, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I think that it's the same type of idea. I think that there's gonna be probably another person's gonna have another idea.
Sure.
And then, so when you guys kind of put together something that you say that this is what we would like to do,
Yeah,
maybe then we can, really look at and
right.
approve it or not. It's so hard now to say, let's do a bench, let's do this.
I think the only thing important tonight is the site, and I totally agree that the
But we
park.
cannot even do a site if we don't know what we want to put in.
Yeah, you might
Okay.
wanna put the lectern in a different location than the bench.
Sure,
So I think the most
Yeah.
important, look, that park has so much going for it. I think that
absolutely.
once we decide what the monument's gonna look like, we'll have no problem. I don't think you can come up with a monument that doesn't have an appropriate place in the park. Mark, please?
So this is a fantastic idea. I do think what you and Max are saying is accurate in that the historic group needs to give us some different options, different ideas, give us a number for what they think they need in seed money, and then we can move forward on it.
Dan, please?
I just texted Farley Huddle's office, see if there's any historical grants available for things like this, and I will ask the county tomorrow when I'm at work.
Yeah, I was going to ask Dan, there may be some funding, David, there may be some funding available for something like this.
Also, you were going to introduce Eric. We have another
Well,
relative.
the great-great-grandson is here, the next generation's always important.
Absolutely.
And then Penny is the author of this book, and she has a few words.
Yeah, what I wanted to say is I've spent the last 25 years traveling all over the country photographing monuments to women, statues. A lot of them are on my website. So there are lots of different ideas that we can come up with. I think some of us have been meeting for a couple of years trying to get this off the ground. I live in Englewood. And so I guess I needed some clarification of what I'm hearing is that the council fully supports this and thinks this is a great idea.
Correct.
But what you need from the group of us who have been meeting with is design ideas, because prices I've found, for example, a statue to the first woman who voted in Wyoming was $30,000. There's a statue to Millicent Fenwick in Bernardsville that was $55,000. I mean, there's a range of prices that we can get. So if we come up with concrete plans and zero in on one, then we're set with the council.
Well, you said to come to us and we can look
Great.
and discuss it.
Great.
we should
And
vote.
I have a gift too. When I spoke
Well,
at the
yes.
high school a couple of years ago, I did a
Well,
program.
yes.
I found this wonderful map. It's a Tenafly map, 1876, a centennial. And there are a couple of women, but all of them are Mrs. There are two women, a Mrs. DeMott on Knickerbocker and a Frawlingham. But our Elizabeth is the only one, and I made a mark, and here's a map for each one of you.
Thank
you.
That is Elizabeth Cady Stanton. So she was branded in Tenafly as early as 1876. So I'm delighted that we have this enthusiastic support. Her significance, Tenafly, you want to put Tenafly on the map as a film capital. Tenafly would definitely be on the map, not only nationally, but internationally, as the center for the fight for equality and human rights, because that's what they did, the almost 20 years they were here. And I'm going to donate my personal copy to the collection, too. There you have the
Well,
author's
thank you.
copy.
I'm going to suggest that we give one book to, David's here tonight, David, to the Tenafly High School Library.
I actually did a big presentation to the high school on Elizabeth a couple of years ago,
So-
wasn't it, Dave? I think it was 2
We'll
years ago.
have one for the high school, one for the public library,
Thank you so much.
and we've got 4 now. So we'll think about what the other 2, what
And
we'll do with the other 2.
I'm feeling so moved by the spirit of all of this. If you need more, just send me an email and I'll dive into my personal stash, as long as you
No,
don't go
no.
over 10.
No, I think we're fine. Tony,
Okay.
please?
Can you, can somebody here give us an update as to what's happening with the movement to have her
$20.
on the $20 bill?
Yes, there was a wonderful report on CBS tonight. CBS had a full coverage interviewing Barbara Howard. So it was great publicity for the movement. I think they're up to over 80,000 people have voted. When they get to 100,000, then that allows them to go to President Obama and he can issue an executive order. The voting is probably circling around. Colleen knows a little bit later.
Basically, you should all whip out your cell phones and go to Woman on 20
And vote.
and vote for Elizabeth Cady Stanton or other women. And what's really beautiful, I was involved with moving the statue from the crypt of the U.S. Capitol building to the rotunda. That required 2 acts of Congress to move a 7-ton statue that the Capitol already owned.
And owners
This
raising
is-
private funds too.
Well, private funds, but this is very simple procedure. It goes from the president to the treasury, that's it. So I encourage you to vote.
And there is no opposition that has emerged to removing Andrew Jackson because of his rather complicated and very negative history around the removal of Native Americans and other things. Plus, he was against paper currency. So there seems to be no issue at all about removing Andrew Jackson. No movement has arisen saying, keep Andrew Jackson. It's a very strong movement. And the report on...
Don't worry, it will be one.
There'll be one.
Oh, yeah,
Don't
you're
worry,
right.
don't worry.
But the report on CBS
Yeah.
tonight was, did you see it before you? It was a really nice segment and had some really good stuff with Barbara Howard herself, who initiated this. She owns a construction company in, Yonkers, Colleen? Kind of coming out for Harriet Tubman.
Okay.
She did. But we're voting for Elizabeth.
Well, thank you very much. I'm sure she'll carry the town. Thank you, everybody that's
Thank you.
here on for that subject matter. Thank you. I think it's a wonderful idea. I think it will add not only to the park, but to our downtown, to our whole town. And I hope that we can move this forward. I know it's going to be a very interesting and tough decision. I happen to like that lectern idea because I think, it can really come to life on Memorial Day. We don't have anything for 4th of July.
Right.
But,
yeah.
It could be student public speaking contests. It's just,
Yeah.
announcing.
yeah, and,
people
putting it into the
rushing.
perspective that you did, that they're vibrant, vigorous women, rather than sitting down, I can appreciate what they're saying. But David, you guys will talk about it and let us know what you come up with. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you ever so much.
On to tax credits for volunteer first responders, Jewel? Or you want Jean?
It was Tony's.
Tony?
Tony, the next one's yours. Tax credits for volunteer firefighters.
Okay. You want to explain what you're interested in?
Majority of New York State towns have elected to have this process where their local EMS and fire departments not only receive a LoSAP, it's a form of a LoSAP, but they also get a reduction in their local town taxes. I've spoken to several people, it goes from anywhere from 5% to 10% reduction in their local taxes for the first responders. And I think it's something that, one of the downfalls is that, getting volunteers today is not like it used to be when I first joined the fire department in the 70s. People have other agendas, people are working many different jobs to try to make ends meet, and this might be just an incentive to get that 1 or 2 persons to stay in the town. And it might be a home run for us.
Couple of questions. First of all, Jean, is this doable legally?
I really don't know anything about it.
I think before we consider it, we need, Bill, do you know?
I don't know.
I
think it's been suggested at the state level as a state statute.
But the question is, could we, if we wanted to do it, could we do
That's
it?
what I'm saying, I'm not sure we can do it individually.
Can we put this on, table this and find out
And
if
I'll
we
get
have the
information
ability
from
to do this? And, I don't know, who would be best to look into this?
The union?
I can look into it.
Please.
Yeah, the state would have to give us guidance on this, because we
Yeah.
can't do anything
Well, I'll get information from several fire chiefs that I've spoken to in New York.
Well, New
So-
York it may be different than New Jersey, that's the only thing.
Correct.
You're right, but-
I mean, for
What about
instance,
the
we
big,
can't even
fireman
pay
machine, the state one?
convenience fees
F.
for credit
Right.
cards.
Right.
So I don't know how we
Can
could give up
imagine.
taxes.
What percentage of the
They're not for it.
firemen are not Tenafly residents?
We're not Tenafly residents.
It'll be against it.
Right.
I'm gonna say
Right,
probably, maybe 30% right now or not.
Okay, so if we have 30 guys on the force, you're talking about roughly 9?
Right.
Okay, so the question then becomes, should we start to do this? Do those 9 have the ability to have a percentage of their taxes off in another town?
Reversed.
If they're, you know what I'm saying?
It's-
This is a complex issue.
Right, I'm talking about just if you live in the borough of Tenafly. That's our goal, to make you want to, stay in the borough of Tenafly.
Anybody have any
Something-
comments?
Something to think about.
Let's
gotta
see if we can get
start
some information on it.
Yeah, we need more, we need more.
It may
information.
be that this can't happen unless the state passes something, in which case.
It's not only information, but we kind of have to think if somebody wants to dip, this is how many times you go, everybody's gonna sign up to get 5%, how many times, this is becoming not just a resolution, but it's becoming a complex way of actually implementing.
Well, one of the towns that I've spoken to that,
Then
now I haven't asked some of the others, but one of the towns, what they do is that you have to sign a contract. I think it's like a 5-year contract that you have to sign, that you're gonna be
Yeah.
a first responder for those 5 years.
And how many times you have to come when you are first responder?
Well, no, that's a separate issue, but
Yes,
that's,
so it's becoming not only the legal part, but also the implementation.
Well, this is, I don't even
complex,
think
very
we should,
complex.
I don't even think we need
We
to
gotta
talk
start.
about it until we find out that
Yeah.
whether or not you can do it in New Jersey.
That's New York.
Not it,
so.
did you
No,
want-
that's okay, we'll wait.
Okay, a resolution regarding proposed state transition plan, which I think is I don't think there's anything negative about this. This is something that could impact group situations similar to what we have coming in on Tenafly Road, should the laws change. This was presented to us from the Bergen County United Way, which is doing that project. They're also asking other towns in Bergen County to pass it. And I don't know where the governor's coming from on this one. I think his proposal makes no sense at all. I know what he's trying to accomplish, but this is one of the things that has so many ridiculous unintended consequences. Anybody have any comments?
Can somebody just, on 5 words, tell us what the resolution was about, that we are, in a way, counter-and?
So,
Yeah,
if you build 10 units, 25% have to go to I guess, almost like COA? Is that accurate?
No, they want to
No.
reduce the
No,
size of the housing that you can use for these purposes.
yeah, exactly,
That's
it's
my
it's
problem.
different.
10 to 6, yeah.
Yes,
It's-
that's,
it
but
limits.
does
They're trying
anybody
to
know?
stray away from big projects, like group homes, basically, and try to go more.
This would basically eliminate anything larger than 4 bedrooms.
Yep.
We have 10 beds in the, that couldn't be
So
built.
economically, it's not built to scale.
They're looking to mainstream special needs people that don't have the ability to mainstream.
Right. So we should support this resolution.
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So,
Is that- We're doing that tonight?
can we do this tonight?
Can we do this tonight? Or is it not on for tonight?
It's not on.
All right, so we'll do it
Okay.
tonight.
April 14th.
Thank you.
Do we know if there's a vote being taken at the legislative level soon?
No.
Is there any
it's-
rush to this?
it's-
No. Okay.
It's not coming up yet.
And how did it come to us to get this? I mean,
It's been
Well,
proposed at
it's
state
been,
level.
it's been publicized. I read about it in the newspaper, and I spoke to Tom Toronto at United Way, and he was very upset about it. And I suggested to him that he prepare a resolution, and he sent this, and I said, well, you just sending it to Tenafly? He said, well, I wanted to see, and then he turned around and said, he'll send it to every town in Bergen County.
If we can do that, when we discuss about it, can we see the proposed resolution that we are countermanding?
Oh, you mean well,
Yes,
It's
what
more-
we
you
are,
mean the bill?
yeah, what they're trying to do,
It's
so
a
we know what.
policy, set by the DDD development.
I don't see why not, I just don't know what form it's in at this particular
Well,
point.
yeah, but we're trying to say something about something else. And I would like to see what we're trying to say about.
Well, it basically says here in paragraph 3, whereas the state is contemplating a rule change that will effectively limit housing choices for people with developmental disabilities to either 4-bedroom group homes
Alright.
or set-aside units that are 25% or less of a large multifamily development. In other words, if somebody's building a 100-unit property, there can be 25 or less units for special needs people. So you're basically mainstreaming them. And these people can't be mainstreamed. They're not,
No, there is no question, that's.
okay. Administrator's report?
Sure. Everyone has their screen up.
Yeah.
The first issue is basically following up on a report that was given by Councilman Park at the last meeting with regard to the police commission. I guess we just need to know if you're satisfied with the information that was provided, and the chief is awaiting permission to proceed.
Nadia, please.
Well, the only information that was provided was Dan's report, so usually the chief comes in when we have these kinds of things, so we're not increasing the amount of police officers we
No.
have. So one's leaving, and we're filling that slot and hiring another one at the bottom.
Correct. That's the extent of it.
There is something to be said over here. In the beginning of the year, as a matter of fact, it was the end of last year, before John Worms left, we had a conversation that from now on, we'd like to have monthly reports from the police department on their activities and total number of arrests and stuff like that, so we can compare them. And
Cumulative totals.
yeah, and that's right. And we were supposed to start on March, because they said, well, we cannot do it in January, we cannot do it in February. Well, it's March, end of March. Are we ready to do that? We need to make
We've
sure that.
got a really new Princeton-based
Yes, system.
Princeton report.
You got them. Didn't you get them?
No,
No, we don't get anything. We get the
we just get daily.
daily whatever, but we need some sort of, it's supposed to be like.
Monthly summaries.
Monthly
No,
summary.
I have them. I thought that they had been
They
provided.
weren't being distributed to the
No.
council.
If you have them, you have them.
Yeah, I have them, yeah.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what we-
I didn't know, I didn't see them.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Okay.
It's a nice one.
FEMA reimbursement.
You have it?
No,
Oh, okay, you
that's why I
just, you
explained
saw,
to him, I
okay.
thought he wasn't ready for the new system.
So, did
Interesting.
we decide that? We're giving
Yeah,
the chief the
with
authority to move
consensus
forward,
to-
right?
We have to kind of, don't we have to vote or something? We have to say.
Consensus,
Consensus,
Right.
yeah.
yes.
Okay, thank you, and I'll get your reports out. I'm so sorry.
So now that we consented, what's the schedule of what happens now? He's gonna.
He's gonna develop that schedule.
No, I meant for the
The promotion,
yes.
the police commission gets involved, and Jewel and the
Okay.
chief put together the schedule.
Right,
Okay.
he'll,
Candidates
he'll
apply.
do an internal solicitation.
You can apply
Then you do it.
Internal.
internally.
Can I just comment on it?
Commission members interview the candidate.
Okay.
The only requirement I would want to see is that a prerequisite for the application is that you must have a bachelor's degree to fill out the application. If you do not have a bachelor's degree,
You're talking about for a new officer?
for a new officer,
We talked about that.
We have to
didn't
change the ordinance, don't
We
we?
would have to change the ordinance, and
we
I'm
should
not,
do it.
but I'm not
Yeah.
sure if we can do that without negotiating, because in their contract, there is a provision for paying for education.
Yeah,
No, it has nothing to
It
do with
has nothing to
education.
do with it.
I'm saying, if you want, gonna
No,
be a
it's-
police officer, you have to have a bachelor's
The
degree.
police contract has a provision for us to pay for an undergraduate
Graduate
degree.
degree. It's in their contract, so if you don't
But
have
we
an
don't have a
existing one-
contract right now.
Well,
We
have-
do. We're still under contract.
Under
We don't have
previous
we don't have
contract.
a successor agreement, but the contract still rules.
Well, we have,
Julie.
we have a contract that we're operating under. It's
Right.
the old contract that expired.
Plus, that provision wasn't changed.
And
under
that
the
provision
new-
wasn't changed in the new one.
Email.
Can I say,
it's- we don't wanna-
that's for the existing force we will employ for the education. It does not
But,
say
Tony-
that if we hire a new one, we cannot request to have a certain level of education or so.
No,
But
which is
you're-
what I-
we're
here's what-
reopening-
Here's what I, we don't wanna reopen
We're
this
reopening
contract.
up the
Here's-
contract.
But here's what I would,
Negotiation.
here's what I would suggest. When this contract that's in limbo now, because it's in the courts, is signed, it's almost expired. It finishes what, the
End of
2015?
this year.
So we will be negotiating a new contract, maybe even before the current one is signed. But when we negotiate the new contract, I think that's something we should look to do, Tony.
I agree
I don't
with
think
the
we can.
future.
I don't think we can do it any sooner.
I don't think that there's any prohibition against encouraging it. I mean, quite frankly, several of our newest officers do have college degrees. In fact, one came in even with a master's. So I'm not saying that we can't encourage that, we just can't make that a hard and fast
And
rule.
keep in mind also, Tony, that one of the things we looked at as being equal or as important to a bachelor's degree was service in the armed forces.
Yeah.
And so a guy goes out of high school, goes in for 4 years, serves his country in Iraq or wherever, and then comes and you're gonna say you can't be an officer because you don't have a bachelor's degree.
Well,
That's what we would be
Yeah.
doing.
listen, this is all part of the process that you have to look at, that not only is it college education, you also take in consideration military time served. It's all part of that whole thing.
It's
And I
all-
will tell you that Tenafly is on the tail end of towns within the state of New Jersey that require college degrees to fill out the application. Forget about anything
I
else.
would still rate our recruits as
No, I'm
in the
not,
high
listen,
end.
it has nothing
Top
to
end
do
of
with,
class.
but I'm just saying that, we gotta start looking forward here, okay?
Paul, and then Nadia.
From what I got at the last police commission, it did sound like Chief Chamberlain on his own was going to say, well, you have your folks that are on the force who are grandfathered, they can take advantage of the schooling or for a master's program, but new candidates, they would like either a 4-year bachelor degree or military plus a 2-year associate's, period. And that
And
was
honorable discharge at that.
correct, and that was who he was gonna be accepting.
Yeah, Tony, I don't want to have that hard and fast rule in there unless there's, consensus. Because life experience or military service, there are some of our best police officers we've had here have not had a degree. So,
If you
but
listen
it's,
to what he just said,
Yeah.
that's actually, that's
That's
the
acceptable.
exact footprint of what
but if we
want.
say you have to have a college degree,
That's different.
then that's different. And what you initially said is we have to have a college degree. I'm saying that there are other alternatives to the college
Yeah, but
degree, like military experience, good life skill experiences. There are
I'm
other
saying,
experiences.
We
what
have
I'm
both.
saying that
We
you
have
need
new
either a
officers with
4-year
both.
college degree,
Mhm.
or you need an associate's with X number of military years service. You have to have one or the other. If you have neither, then
Well,
don't bother filling out the
Like
application.
I said, I think that the time to deal with this is when we start to negotiate a contract that
Next.
theoretically is starting January of 2016.
Okay, but now going forward with this test, what I would like
Well,
somebody to tell the chief, let's
think
not
You don't
build
have
up
to
a
tell the
roster.
chief. The chief told us.
Right.
Paul is quoting the
It's
chief.
already
No,
said, the chief
He's
said.
looking
But
for
listen to
somebody.
me, I understand that, but if
Okay.
he's gonna have a test, and he has a roster, that roster is gonna, I don't know how long you keep the roster for, is it for a year, 2 years, whatever? If a new contract comes and you've got a roster, you can't backpedal,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Mhm,
So,
you're right.
we have to think about that.
Okay. CSX?
Yep. FEMA, good news, we got money, $106,000.
Congratulations.
Yep, it took a long time, but it finally came through. Joint use, I think we're up to date on that. Our next meeting is April 13th, and there will be some additional discussion in the closed session, since some of the information that we provide falls under attorney-client privilege. The CSX meeting, as we indicate, will take place this Thursday. We received a formal notification of our Safe Routes to School grant, and asked Mazer to do a proposal for the construction management and bidding of that project. Is Dave still there?
Yes. Dave. Dave Boyd?
Oh, no, I was looking for Dave Wall.
Oh, he might still be outside.
Oh, okay. Well, the Nicholas Oresco estate, I think many of you saw the letter that was sent by their attorney. their family, the family is asking to be involved in the planning and the process that's going into designing and locating the monument to honor Sergeant Nicholas Oresco. And, very fortuitous. And David and members of the HPC did meet with the attorney.
Nicholas Orozco's estate.
Could you give us
Oh,
a
yes.
quick update? Thank you.
Yes, we had a very good conversation with him, Mario Turchi, Karen Noose, and myself. And he told, a lot of it was his own encounters. Apparently was maybe the best friend of Sergeant Oresco. Now, Sergeant Oresco died without any heirs. His son had and wife had both predeceased him. The wife has a sister in Oregon, but she's sick or somehow, being taken care of. And the one question I didn't ask, I'm a retired New York attorney, so I'll confess it was in my mind, but I didn't ask it because it wasn't the right time, was whether the estate had any provision that money could be spent on honoring veterans or something like that. We showed him, he asked if we had, the closest we got to that subject was, he asked if we had a American Legion or VFW in Tenafly, and I said, unfortunately, we no longer have. So we did not talk any further along that subject. We showed him the park here, and he was stunned. He says, I can't believe that we brought him to the precise spot in the middle of the park, peaceful spot, where the statue could be raised. And he said, I don't believe that this park hasn't been taken before. That it's such a natural background. And
It's a big try. David, I mentioned it once before when I made this pitch to do this for the Oval. That I went to the New Orleans World War II Memorial Museum that's there, and they've got all of the Medal of Honor recipients. They have you press a button and Nick's picture comes up, and they talk you through his times in the service and how he obtained the Medal of Honor. And it is, I still have it on my phone, which I would love to share with you, because that's something that I think we might even be thinking about. Maybe would be worthwhile. If you have a statue and then you have something where somebody presses a button and it's just on a pad like this, and you just see the picture and the voice comes out. It is, I'm telling you, I still get goosebumps watching it.
well, we already contemplating having this picture on this monument, and in fact, the attorney offered his Medal of Honor.
Wow.
Well, the thing is, he might be the only Medal of Honor recipient to have two. And that, just by accident, he was in the White House, and Truman decided to give him one on the spot. So we have, and then the other one is with other Medals of Honor somewhere. But Mario, who again is really an expert in design, was talking about how the metal part could be inserted here, on the stone, somehow protected in the picture, and then what he and Karen have written up about his life. One thought that crosses my mind is that, hey, this is in a public park, and that could be vandalized at some time. I see the cemetery Mount Carmel Cemetery, you walk around, there's some old pictures attached to the stone, beautiful, but some have been like ripped off.
Nothing is sacred today.
Yeah.
You have to keep that in mind. All right, thank you, David.
You better be able to run quick, David, if I catch him, okay?
Yeah, good.
That's, that'll help.
Okay.
We provided an update on the situation with regard to the electrical outlets in the council dais. Nothing is easy
Surprise,
these
surprise.
days. It turned out to be very, very complicated. Do you have the,
I have the 6-foot cords.
Okay.
Whenever we need them.
I mean, we're fortunate, it turns out, I mean, we really do have outlets just there on
Yeah.
the outside, on the exterior. We have not heard from Creskill with regard to the letter that was sent to them. I thought you might just be interested in knowing, you know, where they are in terms of their meeting their financial obligations. And gave you some insight into some things that we'll give you updates on in the next
But back to the swim club, so
Mhm.
we haven't moved forward at all anymore because one of the clubs couldn't make the meeting, so there is no more meeting. We
Well,
made a rescheduled meeting.
one of the clubs couldn't make the meeting, the
Yep.
other one never responded until after the fact.
Okay.
So we were 0 for 2.
But do we have an answer now?
An
For the
answer as,
second one?
an answer as to, well,
Well, they responded to the memberships, right? Did we
Right.
get the
Yes.
second
They
set of
did
memberships? Okay.
So are we
Can we have now?
rescheduling the meeting?
Can we have now a meeting? Now that we have answers from both of them?
well, we would have to send a note out to both of them again, asking them, giving them a date.
Well, can we discuss in closed session
Yeah.
first, the parking lot situation, the
Yes.
update with
I
that,
think
and
we
then
do that.
decide how we're gonna
Yes.
move ahead with the pools? Maybe
Correct.
we
That's right.
do that
Makes
order?
sense, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's it? Okay. We have on old business, 2 items, dog park in Geisinger Field. Who, you know, who put the dog park on? Is that you, Dan?
Yep.
Okay, what do you got on that?
The proposed sites so far.
New business, huh? Old business.
So the site, where's the first? Right out here by the fire department. That way.
Wait, this is a new site.
No, this was one of the proposed ones by,
Christine, that's right out here then?
yeah,
Yes.
right
Not
here.
the fire department, right here.
Behind the
Well-
court and behind the back of the fire department, and the side of the fire
Yeah,
department.
but
Side
we-
of the fire department.
I thought we pretty much put the kibosh on that
Yes,
one.
the fire department is very against that.
And so is the borough engineer.
Yes, and
And that would be where we wanna put the Oresco sign.
No, no, no.
no, 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 no,
No.
no, no, no.
Christine,
That's-
That's
please.
over the bridge,
That's
close to
over the
this
bridge.
area.
Oh,
So, do you want to talk about the other site, Dan?
So there's a site between here and Foster Road, right by the,
Where the old police station was gonna go,
Right.
Or the new police station?
well, the new police station.
right. So that's up in the air right now.
I think that's a great spot.
I think it's a very good spot also.
I think it's a fantastic.
It's
Very
not in any
minimal-
of these pictures.
minimal-
It's not in.
What do you mean up in the
There's
air?
parking available, people can park in the lot.
And
But the
walk their
police are
dogs in.
going in and out of that, that's where the assigned police parking is along that side.
No, we're
I
not talking
think.
about taking that parking lot,
I'm
that
talking about
area.
taking the green in
The
that area.
green,
Yeah.
the green.
The
Yeah,
green,
agree.
just
I don't
as
know.
well.
As long
Well,
as
be
it
careful
doesn't-
with that terminology, green. Take it.
No, I
okay?
know, but we took away the green to provide all the parking for the police employee vehicles. We used to have more green, and we created a whole bunch of new spots, so we left very little green there. And that's a very busy intersection with people coming in and out of Borough Hall, and people moving dogs into that area. To me, it seems like a safety issue. It's too busy an intersection between being bound by River Edge Road and then being bound by coming in and out of the driveway here.
Well, in my mind, the proper entrance would be on the southeast corner, which is beyond where the parking for the police is.
Okay.
So if this is River Edge Road, and this is Foster Road, and this rectangle, so it'd be down where Paul is, which would probably be along where the first couple of spaces in the actual parking lot are, not where the police parking is. So we could, you
I
know,
mean, close by the little Breck building out there.
no, it doesn't go that far.
where the trailer used to be.
We need it on-
Where
we
the
need it
trailer
mapped
used
out.
to be.
Police trailer.
Well, no, not even that far. The dog park would probably extend not that much further than the driveway. Where the dog park would run pretty much from where the end of the driveway is to not quite to River Edge Road. You don't want to get too close, but the entrance would be at the southeast end, so the dogs and people aren't over by River Edge Road, and they're not over by Foster Road. They're coming in through the parking lot area.
think we need a little map, a little
Yeah,
schematic.
exactly.
Well, if you folks like, just going back on the process we did previously when we went fairly far on the process of dog park. When we looked at a space across the street at Roosevelt Common, we asked the borough engineer, it was a different borough engineer, but asked the borough engineer to just give us a site plan. Give us a sense of where he'd want to put it. And then the next step would be for him to do a cost estimate. But first, let's do a site plan, and if the site meets with the approval of the governing body, then we can ask him to look further into what the cost would be. And I still believe that the majority of the installation, the construction of it can be picked up by donations.
But there will be two dog parks really, one for small
Well,
dogs, one for large
Just
The
cut
dogs.
it.
Yeah.
fenced-in area would be divided into two,
Yeah.
small and
And why
large.
did we, I remember we had discussion about putting in a river, between River Edge and Jefferson there.
You mean on
Roosevelt
Roosevelt?
Common.
Yeah, well,
Why did that,
well, there were the two things that I heard. One is the area is too busy now. There's too much stuff going on in Roosevelt
And the
Common.
commons.
And the second problem was it's too close to the kiddie parks. There's two kiddie parks there, and some kids are afraid of dogs. Those were the two major, and a lot of people just said, no, nothing in Roosevelt Common.
Yeah, required tree removal too.
So we're looking at, from what I've heard, and I've discussed it with a number of people, I like this space, we're not looking at removing any of the trees. It'll be a nice shady area. Really a minimal amount of site work.
Yeah, I
I
think
mean,
we should
you're
plot it
like-
out so
Let's
you
see a site
visually
plan.
see
Right.
what it
Let's
looks
see a
like.
site
Is
plan, and
this
then
one-
if we go, the next step would be a cost estimate where you'd see what improvements, if any, the engineer would recommend. And I would suggest at that point that he sit down with a small group of people that are advocates for it to talk about what they would like to see in it. You don't want to build it and then have people say, well, this isn't what we wanted.
What goes into a dog park besides a fence?
Well, there's gates, there's
And
benches,
gates, right.
there's a possibility of having
Water
a
line.
water source.
Mhm.
And then you can
I
involve.
mean, some dog parks have a shower for, you wanna wash your dogs. I mean, some do, I'm not suggesting we do that here.
Yeah, take a shower too.
Okay, the next item is Geisinger Field.
So Joel will contact engineer to plot it out?
Just a simple plot plan.
Okay. I'm still not entirely clear. I would want to walk the location with you first.
Well, I'd like to walk it with Dan as well, so
Okay.
work coordinated with Dan and myself, please.
The best dog.
Me too. All right, the Geisinger field is basically the one that I got, it was a letter sent to the mayor and council and the board of ed regarding the noise on Geisinger field. So I have replied to Jules that if there are complaints, probably we should send, as we already agreed, that we're gonna send one of the officers that's fully trained to measure the noise to make sure that it's in compliance with the state of New Jersey noise regulations. And what I have received is a report from Mr. Robbins with measurements of the readings by the Bergen County Health Services on Friday, basically October 24th. And it shows a few readings that were basically brought up by the Board of Health, which I would have probably believe that they are valid, and they are way, way, way above the allowable noise by state statutes. So we have to do something because we have to implement the law. So now the question is, how do we proceed about it? First, I think that we have to get our own measurements to be verified that indeed the noise levels are above what is the law requirement in New Jersey. And from then on, go and talk to the Board of Ed about reducing the noise in the...
First of all, keep in mind that Friday, October 24th was probably a varsity football game.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure that there's much we want to ban football games. The only variable where football games are concerned might be the PA system. We're not going to be able to measure the noise of a football game until the earliest sometime in September, because that's the next football game. All of the activities that take place from this point until September are quiet activities. There's no noise at all.
If there are any noise activities, like any other games that there are, not the football games, I mean, we have to make sure that they also are according to the law.
Tony?
So, can I finish, please?
Well, yeah, you said that.
So we have to do those measurements. In September, we can look again at the measurements of the PA during the football game, and we have to make sure that they also are according to the law. We cannot just ignore the law, saying, well, that's September, this is March, we have to implement whatever we have to.
Nobody's saying that, and that's all I'm saying is, there's nothing to measure until
There's
September.
nothing comparable to
There
the
is-
football
okay.
games.
So,
You wanna go over there and measure now, I guarantee there's no
no,
noise.
if there are no activities, it's fine. If we have to redo again in September, we'll redo the measurements, but we have to be ready to do so, to make sure that the system is according to what the law in New Jersey is.
Right, we hear that.
was
Tony and then
first.
Mark.
First of all, this tells me nothing about the locations where the decibel readings were taken, number one. Was it on the football field, or was it at Mr. Robbins' front door? So that doesn't help me at all. Number two, if we're gonna take decibel readings from the football field, then we should maybe start taking readings from Jefferson Avenue, dealing with the cars. Maybe police cars racing with their sirens on, we should start taking those decibel readings. And see, maybe we'll just stop all activities in the borough, Tenafly, in totality.
This is a washout. I mean,
No,
there is
it's
a
not a
problem.
washout, this is ridiculous.
No,
This person moved into this town.
So we should kill him.
No, I didn't say kill him.
Okay, so
But
what
when
we
you
gonna
moved
do?
in, all of the houses that are on Sunset, was the football field there when they
Yes,
bought the houses?
exactly.
Was it? Yes or no?
Absolutely.
Okay, so, there you go. So now all of a sudden,
Do we have
decibels
to-
are becoming an issue? What would you-
Absolutely.
Really?
Yes, we have a
Oh.
new PA system.
Oh, so
Well, the
it's a
PA
new
system
PA
has to-
system. Do
absolutely.
we have a new PA system? No, we don't, Max. We actually don't have a new PA system.
Yes, we do.
No, Max, we don't. It's the exact same PA system that's been there since day
Okay.
one.
Even if there is an old
Guaranteed.
PA system, the fact that there is a law in New Jersey that tells you what's the maximum noise you can have on the environment and around the houses,
Okay.
you should basically abide by the law and don't tell the people to move out if they don't like it.
No, I didn't say that. I'm saying then if we're gonna do that, then
Okay.
we gotta take decibel readings of our police
Now,
cars,
that's not
our
the
fire
issue.
trucks, and everything
That's
else.
not the
Max.
One person at
Come
a
on
time.
now.
That's not the issue. The
One,
issue is
one
this
person
one.
at a
No,
time.
the issue is noise. Is the issue noise or is the issue football field? That's what I wanna
The
know.
noise that are generated by the football field.
Oh, so it's only by the football field. We're not
That's
concerned
what-
about any other noise.
If you are concerned, make a complaint.
No, I'm asking the question.
And the answer is yes, the noise on the football field.
Only.
That's what the Tenafly resident is complaining.
Okay, so we're gonna do this for one Tenafly resident that's complaining.
No, it's the
Okay.
utility
Max,
to-
Just wanna make sure we understand.
Abide by
I'm
the
just
law.
not sure if you're aware of the history of this situation. Okay, but most important to understand is football games have been going on that field prior to the turf and prior to the lights.
Yeah.
I don't think turf and lights are noisy, although this gentleman infers that sound is bouncing off the turf, even though I don't believe there's any scientific basis for that comment.
I'm absolutely sure it's not.
Okay, so what he's complaining about is the noise that has gone on 5 or 6 times a year in perpetuity, because there's always been 4 or 5 home games every year, JV, practice, none of those things create noise, it's just the varsity football games. The only thing I would suggest is we need to make sure that the PA system is not any louder, never mind the law, it shouldn't be any louder than it needs to be.
Exactly. So we
Okay,
should have-
Mark, you had,
I have a very simple question. Does anyone know if this information was forwarded to the Board of Ed?
yes,
Yes,
you
it
sent
was.
the letter
It
to
was.
him.
The letter was sent
To
to the
answer to
board.
Tony's question, if it's not in the letter, I know the gentleman has said that these readings are taken from his front yard.
Well, it doesn't say that here. though.
No,
That's what
I'm just saying that's where he claims that the readings have been taken, but
But
I,
even in human services, the health services doesn't tell me that that's where they took
I
that reading.
understand, I understand.
There's no, so I'm missing something. This is his explanation of what the readings were. There's no.
It's nothing official.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
So, and there are
I'm not
sound
what I'm
pressure,
saying.
there are sound pressure readings that, it's not a simple law. I'd like to see something from them saying that it was a
From whom?
violation, from Bergen County Health Services, because you can exceed certain decibel readings as like peak levels, as long as it's not a constant sound pressure level. I mean, if you read the, and we do have our own noise ordinance, by the way,
Exactly.
which really just follows the state law.
Yeah.
What we could do is if the letter
Who's
quote,
saying it's violent?
if the letter quotes
Who told them?
a Bergen County agency,
Yeah.
we could ask the agency for any and all records that they have in
Sure.
regards to that date, and see, A, if they were there to begin with, and B, what they have.
Yeah, and the next thing is we discuss over here, and we said that if that type of noise exists, we will send one of our officers who is trained in measuring those levels of noise during the specific events to see that if the specific events do generate noise levels that are above the state law.
And I will tell you this, Max,
Yeah,
okay? The first Sunday in January is the 5K run. The 5K run has been going on for years. It's probably the biggest event in Tenafly. Probably several thousand runners, and it starts on Sunset Lane, and the first 100 yards pass all those houses, including Mr. Robbins' house.
yeah.
And I guarantee you that at the start of that race, the noise is well beyond anybody's reasonable
Yeah.
concept of what noise should be. But it's been going on for, I think it's 15 years now, once a year, and I'd be happy if you want to go to the starting line and tell everybody to be quiet. But
This is another point. We were trying
No,
to
but
say
it's,
that
not
there is
only,
noise,
you've
so
heard
we
of-
should agree.
you've heard of selective enforcement, this is selective complaining.
I don't think this is basically every single game that is going on. People over there have the right to basically have a quiet, they don't have to be subject to 3 hours of noise.
I agree.
So they have to basically have this enforced.
Tony?
You know, for somebody who's deals with decibel readings in my profession, I can tell you that when you look at decibel readings, it's taken over what we call a time-weighted average. And it's over a certain amount of either minutes, hours, that that decibel reading has to be consistent. Now, if you take the highest number here, let's say 94.3, is that just 1 minute? Is it 1
We can
hour?
ask
Is that
Okay,
5 hours?
let- let-
Those are
let-
things
let-
that,
Yeah.
Let's not speculate. I think
Yeah.
we're gonna there's 2 points of action to take here. One is we're gonna ask Jewel to find out if there was any record of any county agency, and if they did take readings, what those readings were. And the second thing is, when we get the football schedule, we'll address the football games. And
Absolutely.
I think in joint use, we can mention to the Board of Education our concern, that's all it is, because I will tell you, I went to a football game, it was a Friday night, I went over there at 6 o'clock, and the reason I went over there at 6 o'clock, the game didn't start till 7, was I got out of my car here, and I heard the PA system here.
Yeah,
So I walked over to the PA, and I said, it's awfully loud,
yeah.
and they turned it down.
That's
All right,
you
and this
do.
was at 6 o'clock, and the only people, there were no fans in the stadium, just a bunch of the two teams doing calisthenics. The PA system didn't have to be on that loud. But I'm sure it wasn't the superintendent of schools that turned it all the way up. So we'll be a little more diligent.
Exactly.
Okay,
On
unless
the
anyone-
old business, I have something else to we're gonna vote today in an ordinance regarding refinancing of some of our debt.
Okay,
We asked when that ordinance was presented, we asked to get a few names of experts that can vouch that we're getting the right value, that we are supposed.
who's we?
The council.
I don't recall that.
Okay,
I
well,
recall
sometimes
you questioning it, but I don't recall.
Yes,
We're talking about a financial advisor
Exactly.
being,
Yes.
but being available on the day of sale.
not only on the other, but that discuss basically to tell us, to advise us if that specific type of, if you look at the specific type of agreement that we want, where we're getting basically $220,000 in savings, which is an NPV of about 170,000, and basically the fees that we're gonna be paying is 600,000. It doesn't pass the smell test.
That was what the
So we need
bond
somebody
counsel
that knows
addressed.
about that.
The bond counsel and the
Address.
auditor were here and said it was fine.
No, they said they cannot guarantee that we're getting the right value. They can only basically guarantee that this is what they offer. They said specifically, they themselves cannot be an advisor to tell us that we're getting the right value, or, and we need somebody that's a financial
No,
advisor.
I don't agree with that, Max. All they said was that we would solicit proposals from a financial advisor to
Yes.
determine what the soft cost will be. There's no question that we're gonna be saving money here.
The fact that
So-
we're saving, can we just
and-
save
and
more?
We certainly wouldn't have gone forward with this if we didn't come under the percentage that's required, the 3%. So I don't recall what you're saying.
Okay.
I don't recall that being said by the auditor, and I've talked to the auditor and bond counsel since that meeting. So what you're saying now is inconsistent with what they told me.
You don't recall when he said that
No.
they cannot advise if we're
No.
getting a fair?
No, he
I
can't
don't
advise
recall
us to
that.
do
And
it. or not do it.
Yeah, and he cannot advise us
That's
to
all
do
he
it or
can
not
do.
do
No,
it.
I don't recall that.
That's all he can.
Mark?
Yeah,
Okay, so yes, that question, Max, I believe you raised
Yes.
that question. And the professional, the auditor, responded that they won't tell us, okay?
exactly.
All right, because they're not in the business of
Right.
telling
Yeah.
us
They
that,
don't,
right?
they don't have
And
the
a lot
authority.
of
Right,
law.
but then the rest of us agreed that we were satisfied with the results of the entire analysis, and we all agreed, and perhaps you did not agree to, but the remaining among us agreed to move forward with this.
We did agree to
refunding.
that, and what I said is we should get a specialist to tell us if we're getting the best value or not. And Peter said, okay, Max, I'm glad to see you basically saying sometimes we need to pay additional money to understand what's going on. It was one of your comments that you made that, so it's hard not to remember all this stuff. So the idea is that, yes, there is a good deal. Can we get a better deal? We should know if we can get a better deal, and we should get one of those financial advisors to
Well,
tell us that.
we're gonna vote on this ordinance tonight, and you can vote no. But I would tell you this, I find the comment that it doesn't pass the smell test to be offensive.
Well, if you're familiar with the NPV of the savings you get and the fees you pay, you find basically that we are paying $600,000 in fees, and we're increasing the
$600,000.
yeah, and
I don't think it's fees.
the auditors, the underwriter basically gets
I'm not sure
600,000.
where he's getting it.
No,
Yes.
that's not true, man.
That's
Okay, so
We're not
that's
paying
counted.
$600,000
We
fees.
okay because I looked at the numbers.
That's not true.
Okay, tell me how much
They're
the
not
fees
getting
are.
$600,000. This is a refunding
Yeah,
bond.
how much
This is
do
what
they
they call
give
an
you?
advanced refunding bond of
Yeah.
a bond that's due in 2008,
Gee, no
22.
problem. How
So
much are they getting in fees?
Nobody is getting $600,000
Yeah,
here.
there was in the numbers that.
No, I'm
we-
sorry, I disagree with you.
Can we look at the numbers, please, Gene?
I thought we already did look
We
at it.
did.
We did look at the
So,
numbers. Mark, Mark?
so we went over this in
Yeah.
detail at the previous
He
meeting,
just did that.
and so we scheduled it to be on a vote after we were all satisfied we had sufficient details. So I think tonight we should just vote on it, and if anyone doesn't agree with it,
Vote
they
no.
vote no, and we just call a question.
I agree. Okay, unless we're running a little late, we'll go, I'll entertain a motion to close the work session.
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
I go to the order, I'll do it in there.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, go to the order, we
I'll do
skipped
it in
go to
there
the
now.
order.
Okay.
I'll do it in there.
You can do it now.
No, I'll do it in there. It fits with my committee report.
Okay, just, you know, and I
That
see
word doesn't-
David here, but,
You can do it under
you know, if you listened to the Channel
It was
77.
terrible. Well, we-
Worse than terrible.
We're, you know, and first of all, I have to tell people, I had hoped that the two young men that volunteered their time to record would be able to handle every meeting. And they actually went out and got a third. It so happens that this week is the high school musical, and nobody was available. And David, out of the goodness of his heart, is here. Of course, I told him we'd be in the big room by 8 o'clock, and he might be able to leave by then. But they are very much aware of the problems we had on Channel 77. They're working on it. The thing that boggles my mind, David, is Councilman Honig had his son with one video camera. Okay, now granted, didn't have the ability to show everybody's faces one-on-one, but the sound was fine with just one video camera over there and one video camera in the back. The sound was okay. You could hear everybody. So I'm hoping, Tony, I couldn't agree with you more, and I know David's aware of it, and Carlos is working on it. So
We're all working on it.
we can only hope that some of the things we said tonight weren't heard. But with our luck, it probably will
But
be.
does it have something to do with our microphone, our
Yes.
speaker systems here?
Mr. Garcia and myself, day before yesterday, went into the chambers and we adjusted all the microphones.
But the only thing that we really need to ask all the council and the mayor is to try to use your microphones. If you don't use your microphones, if you don't speak into your microphones, you're not going to be heard. I also installed a mixer in there so we can ride the audio a little bit. So if you're talking a little softer, we can turn it up, and vice versa. The main thing is to use the microphones.
One of the things David suggested, and I was hoping to avoid this, but perhaps it's unavoidable, is there are a number of students that do a lot of work for David on a pay basis, especially when school is not in session. So it may be that we have to offer students a stipend, and some, I'm not suggesting we pay people $25 an hour, but there are kids that have financial need in Tenafly, and it's quite possible that if we were to offer them $25 a meeting, that might be enough to make it worth their while, and we could, I guess it doesn't look like for high school students 2 is enough because there's just too many things going on. So maybe we need 4 or 5, and maybe by, we talk about offering stipends for the firemen. We might have to do something like that for the students, because to bring in an adult who's a professional, it will run us a couple $100s a night, and I don't really want to do that if we don't have to.
Right.
So it's something we'll talk more, David, and we'll see where we go on this. But I think it's very important. I think it's a wonderful concept that we can go on. The residents can go on TV at home and catch these meetings and get a sense of what's going on. But it doesn't serve us well when the sound, the picture seems to be fine. The sound is so terrible you can't listen to it. So I had a motion, a second, to go into the big room.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, see you inside, folks. Good evening. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the notice requirements have been satisfied. Meeting dates for the year confirmed at the annual meeting are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center and published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year. Copies of all revised or additional meeting notices are sent via fax to the Record, Suburbanite, Northern Valley Press, and are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center. Salute to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Barzalato?
Here.
Councilmember Bash?
Here.
Councilmember Lamastra?
Here.
Councilmember Park?
Here.
Councilmember Stefanowitz?
Here.
Councilmember Zinna?
Here.
Mayor Rustin?
Here. Revisions to the agenda?
You don't have any?
Excellent. I'll entertain a motion to approve the following sets of minutes. February 7th, the budget meeting. February 17th, the budget meeting. February 21st, the budget meeting. March 9th, the closed session. And March 10th, the closed session. A motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Public comment on any item at all? I don't think we have another public comment, so whether it's on the agenda or not, anybody care to speak? Please, just state your name for the record, please.
Christine Evron, 39 Leroy Street, and I am very happy that the council is going ahead with a dog park somewhere. And I'll be happy to help with the Foster Avenue. Is it possible to get more details on the engineer's report and the fireman's objections to the other location in case Foster Avenue falls through?
Well, I don't know that there's a written engineer's report, and I'm not even sure that there's any written dissent from the fire department, but it's all been verbalized to us. And it's a fact. I mean,
I read the regulations, and the 25 feet, even if you came 10 feet up to the bank, there is room for a dog park. I wasn't sure what assumptions he was making about the shape of the dog park.
okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else care to speak? Please.
Fred Robbins, 91 Sunset Lane. Just to clear up a few things. It's not 4 football games. I wouldn't be here if that was the only issue. And I just put a small sampling of readings that I have taken. I say during the fall, there's at least 3 or 4 events during the week, and I'm talking like warm-up music for soccer games and other items. So it's 3 to 4 times a week. The 94 decibel reading was on a weekday, I guess if somebody could look it up, I didn't bring my notes with me, but it's very persistent, and it's during the week. And, you know, comments like fire engines and police cars, they're obviously exempt from any type of noise ordinance. And the Bergen County Health Services Committee came, took readings. I don't know exactly what they were, but I was informed they were in violation of the state laws. And the Board of Ed was informed, but I don't know the outcome or any reaction from them. So.
Well, the Board of Ed is not the enforcement agency.
No, but they control the noise.
Right, but
Yeah.
I'm saying that, you know, if there's a violation in the law, we are the enforcement agency, and we would be the ones to tell the Board of Ed to, you know, to please, you know, to turn it down, that they're in violation of the law.
Evidently, the county agency can fine them. They were warned. I don't know if the next time it happens, they will be fined, but, and then, you know, I'm just saying, you're going to be a decent neighbor or what? And you had mentioned that, you know, our quality of life won't be upset. I think you were sincere when you said that last year. And a little yes, little no. Like tonight, there's children out there playing, no issue. 2 or 3 nights ago, I was like startled. People are out there, I don't know if it was recreation or not, playing. No noise issue, no light issue. It was on the lower light level. So it's, you know, it's not an all-the-time thing. I'm happy the field is out there, whether I like it or not, so I'm happy to see somebody using it and getting benefit from it. And like I say, there's no noise issue most of the time, but it is a lot more than just 4 football games.
Well, you know, I have an issue too with the warm-up music. It really needs to be at a level that doesn't have a negative impact on the neighbors. And I know personally, I'll start to go over there more often. I mean, just to, but you know, we'll do the best that we can.
Are we saying, is that the band that's playing
No, no,
warm-up
no.
music?
No, they have, on the PA system, rock and roll, I guess you'd call it, it's loud and pure. Like I say, the time that we had the 94 decibel reading, it was warm-up music. It wasn't...
I'm having a tough time understanding warm-up. They're putting warm-up music on the...
Yeah.
Well, Tony, like what I said to you, 6 o'clock in the evening, for a 7 o'clock game, I heard music over here. And that's when I walked over to the press box, and I said, you know, the music is too loud, okay? And they turned it down. But the only people in the stadium were the 2 teams doing calisthenics. It was an hour before a game. There were nobody in the stadium. So the music was for the benefit of the kids on the football field. And it was in my mind, it was exceedingly loud. And that's why I asked them to please turn it down. And I believe that when he's saying warm-up music, you know, I think
that's what they call it.
You were at the joint use meeting. I think that this is last year. I think they agreed that warm-up music would be played only for the varsity games, soccer and football, and it would be played at a reasonable level. You know, if it's not being played at a reasonable level, or if they're playing it more often than they said they would, we should discuss it. And I have no problem bringing your comments back to joint use.
We have a meeting coming.
But the problem is that football and soccer don't start until the fall. But if it's going on now, we'll have to.
I have a tough time trying to understand why they need warm-up music.
That's another thing.
I mean, when I played football in Tenafly, right, and back, we didn't have warm-up music. I don't even understand what that means. So I fully agree with you. If they're having warm-up music,
It can be, you know.
Do you go to the junior football games over here?
Oh, I used to, yeah.
Okay, well, they warm up music.
Exercise music.
Huh?
It sets the mood.
I'm sorry?
It sets the mood.
Yeah, but it's not that loud over here.
Try hitting your opponent a little harder. That'll set the mood.
Okay.
You know, it is as early as
Fred,
4 or 5 in the afternoon.
We hear you, you know, but no, you know, and we'll try and work with you. We really will.
All right, I appreciate that. All right, thank you.
I really think, and I think when you're saying, you're being realistic when you're saying the lights and these normal activities, the lights, there's no issue. And as I said, you know, I didn't really take into account the music on the PA. I truly believe most of these activities should be innocuous to you. You won't even, unless you look out the window, you shouldn't even know they're there.
Well, a few times that happened, and that's why
So-
told my wife, I said,
It's still-
you were being honest when you
It's
when you
still-
said that, but there's, like I say, this
To me, it's
crazy
still a
war.
work in progress, because I don't believe it's necessary to have a negative impact on your homes. I don't think it's necessary, so we'll deal with it.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
Andrew Migesh, 50 Sherwood Road. On a dog park, I'm glad to see that things are happening. I was involved with it a couple of years ago, and I know finding a right site is a big challenge, because we don't have too many wide open spaces without neighbors around. But I think the one back here on Forest Road is a great site. If you guys can squeeze it in behind this building, is a great site. I think the key is to get something going. Thank you very much.
Okay, and once again, another part of the challenge is to make sure that there's no negative impact on the neighbors on Foster Road, which we will do, we'll do that. And for those of us that have experience with dog parks, they're not, there's not a lot of barking dogs, there's not a lot of dogs running loose. It's usually pretty, innocuous, and that's the way it should be.
Peter, I came up with another location, and something maybe we should look at is, if you go to Sunnyside Park, between Windsor and what is that, Oak?
That little
That
parkway,
parcel.
Tenafly Parkway.
Yeah, Tenafly Parkway, that parcel of land there, it's quite large in size.
Well, it's awful, it's
I know it's right within a residential zone.
Yeah, it's a little more residential, and they don't have the parking facilities that we have. One of the things I like about here is people can park in the municipal lot.
I'm just trying to come up with
Yeah, we've looked at that as well.
locations.
In fact, a couple of the people that were very active in the dog park live near there, and they would have loved to have it there, but. Anybody else care to speak? Please.
Hi, Hercules Vanetis, 3 Columbus Drive, and I would also like to thank the mayor and the council for keeping the dog park alive, because I believe in that very strongly as well.
How many dogs do you have?
One, Chihuahua named Xena Warrior Princess.
Oh, my dogs aren't going to mess with her. Anybody else care to speak? Okay, we'll close the public comment section, and we'll move to the consent agenda. A motion to approve?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Barzalato?
Yes.
Councilmember Bosch?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamastro?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yep.
Councilmember Stefanowitz?
Yes.
Councilmember Zina?
Yes.
Okay, I want to commend the clerk for not yelling at me for not doing the public hearings until 10 minutes after 9.
It's okay.
So would somebody like to read the first one?
Wait, I have to read into the record. The
Please.
following ordinance published herewith was first read by title only on February 10, 2015, and posted on the bulletin board of the lobby of the Municipal Center. Ordinance number 15-04, refunding bond ordinance providing for the refunding of outstanding general improvement funds by the Borough of Tenafly, appropriating $6,800,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $6,800,000 refunding bonds of the borough to finance the cost thereof.
A motion, please? Oh, no, public comment on this ordinance? I'll entertain a motion.
I move to pass and adopt on second and final reading ordinance 15-04, that notice of same shall be published according to law.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Barzalato?
Yes.
Councilmember Bash?
Abstain.
Councilmember Lamastra?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember Stefanowitz?
Yes.
Councilmember Zina?
Yes.
Okay, that's it for public hearings. Any old business?
I have a new business, still in the new business.
Well, let us do the ordinance first, and then we'll...
Okay.
Okay? Let's go to new business. Nadia, you want to do the
Wait,
first one?
where's the committee reports? Am I like missing this whole?
It's on number 11, Nadia.
After new business.
Oh, I'm sorry, we're doing new business now, right? I move to introduce and pass on first reading ordinance 15-05 and set the hearing for April 14, 2015 at 8 p.m. or soon thereafter in the council chambers of the Tenafly Municipal Center.
Is there a second?
Second.
What's that, please?
Ordinance number 15-05, an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. Councilmember Barzalato?
Yes.
Councilmember Bash?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamastra?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember Stefanowitz?
Yes.
Councilmember Zina?
Yes.
Mark, want to do the next one?
Sure.
Are we still on the new business?
Yep.
Yeah, we have three, and then
I make a motion to adopt resolution 15-120 and setting April 28th to...
119.
119.
B.
B.
Heads up. Heads up.
Oh, sorry. Hold on one second.
Why is it not coming up?
Okay. I move to adopt Resolution 15-119.
Is there a second?
Second.
Deb, please call the roll.
Councilmember Barzalato?
Yes.
Councilmember Bash?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamastra?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember Stefanowitz?
Yes.
Councilmember Zina?
Yes.
Okay. Paul, you want to do 120?
I move to adopt Resolution 15-120, which introduces the 2015 municipal budget and set the hearing for April 28th, 2015, at 8:45 p.m. or as soon thereafter in the council chambers of the Tenafly Municipal Center for the hearing on the adoption of the 2015 municipal budget.
Second, please.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Barzalato?
Yes.
Councilmember Bash?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamastra?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember Stefanowitz?
Yes.
Councilmember Zina?
Yes.
Okay, Max, you had some new business?
Yeah, basically, we had a letter over here from Mr. Jacobs that was addressed to the mayor and council. And usually when we get a letter like that, we discuss as part of our meeting. This one was responded to by Jules, but I think that we should discuss it as part of any letter we receive. We discuss it over here and then basically make a decision.
I think you mean the borough clerk.
The clerk did it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Council's discussed it in the
Yeah.
past.
Sorry?
Because it's been a council item previously.
Yeah, but I think that this
So let's put
was
it on,
discussed.
we'll put it on
I'll put it-
correspondence for the
I'll
next
put it
one.
for April
Yeah.
7th.
The next
Thank you
work
so
session.
much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Committee reports, I'm going to start over with you, Dan.
The Environment Green Team and the Environmental Committee had a meeting. There was a chance to apply for an ANJAC grant for $1,500, and we were in talks of looking to start up a community garden. It would have been a good pick, it would have been a good fit for the grant, but the Nature Center also had a proposal, and we decided to go with that one because if they do win that grant, it will open the doors up for bigger grants. This grant will pay for their trail study, and once they study and have a plan, the plan will be open them for bigger, much larger state grants, federal grants, and things like that. On the side note, we will be looking for an alternate way to fund this community garden, or I will rather, and another location. We'll talk about that. And also brought up a Eagle Scout, reached out to the library. They want to redo the garden outside the library windows, so they have something to see when they're looking out the window when they're reading. Bob Culvert was there, the DPW head, and he thinks it's a great idea. It'll be good for bank stabilization. I have someone who would love to donate lilacs and other plants. Once we get everything finalized, Bob has everything ready. We'll connect with the student, we'll connect with the library, and we'll hopefully have a nice, beautiful garden.
I reiterate my comments to the original email, that is, I hope we include a fence, because otherwise deer are a problem in that area especially. Anything else?
I think Bob has a solution for that.
I know a lot of residents would like to hear it. Mark, you have anything?
So, yes, the COA meeting. We had a COA meeting earlier this week. The mayor and I met with members of the planning board, COA attorney, borough, our attorney, the planning board attorney, and there was an hour and a half of details. So if anyone has any questions on what I'm about to tell you, please ask me. Okay, so effectively, the summary is the Supreme Court decided to take over the implementation of COA rules, whatever those rules might be. And there's two things as the borough we need to do to protect ourselves. And the first thing we need to do is basically file a declaratory judgment request with the court that says we either have a COA plan or we're in the process of making a COA plan, okay? And so how we get that done is the planning board's COA attorney is going to draft a resolution, send it to this body to approve, and we're having that April 8th or something. What is that date?
April 14th.
April 14th, we'll have that in our hands.
Well, no, we hope to have it for the work session, in case people want to
question it. And then once we approve that, he will file that declaratory judgment sometime in June. There's a 30-day window in which that can be done. And then what will happen is simultaneously with that, the planning board, Joe Burgess is going to put together our plan for COA that Tenafly will do, which will be filed by November 8th. And so by doing these things, we prevent different legal actions against the borough from happening. And that's what's going on with that. Go ahead, Max.
You said if you want to ask. One of the things that we asked, and I asked specifically when the president of planning board was, are we going to file, or do we have a plan or so? And she said, we cannot do one because we don't know the rules.
Right.
Now, you said that the court, did they lay out rules, or it's still not now?
So there were two sets of rules, basically. One was called the fair share methodology, and the other was the growth share methodology. The growth share methodology has been deemed to be exclusionary, right?
Right.
That's
That
correct?
was part of the third round. Third round brought about growth share, and basically what the courts have done is they've turned the clock back and said we're going back to fair share from
And
second
you're going to
round.
be able to tell us, for the novices like me, what are there anytime, not now?
I think that the actual rules now, since they've come under the jurisdiction of the courts, now what we've done now is we've gotten rid of COA to some extent in managing it, and they've adopted, I think they appointed 15, how many?
There are 15 judges.
15 judges to sit and consider these declaratory judgment actions and to rule on the municipality plans. Our current plan that we have now, that was not ever approved because of the flux, what happened with the court case, was based upon third round rules. So now the planning board and the planner have to restructure the plan.
We're going to go back to our second round plan and basically restructure it.
So we have the rules now.
What we have really are deadlines for submitting basically a plan, and that is something we're going to do. And what we can do is share with you what we're submitting, so then you can ask questions about what it is. I mean, you say you're a novice. I feel like a novice too, and I've been doing this for 12 years. I really don't understand it as well as I'd like to, but even the COA attorney and the planner have a difficult time answering specific questions. The court took this on reluctantly. They took it on because the legislature and the COA committee refused to act.
Exactly.
So, the court would like to turn it back if they would ever act. And the sense is that COA did this deliberately because they didn't want any regulations to go forward. And the only thing I can say, Max, is we feel that we are totally protected from any potential lawsuits brought on by builders.
Builder remedy.
Exactly.
Right, so are we going to have a plan that we're going to be presenting to the mayor and council anytime soon?
Okay, anytime soon, no. The plan doesn't have to be filed until November.
So by the middle of summer or end of summer, we're going to have a plan?
We hope so.
We hope so, to be nice.
And then we can see the plan as a group?
But first, we make the filing to the court that says we're working on the
Okay.
plan.
So the first step, we'll do working, and then, okay,
Right.
thank you.
Right.
And by the way, if there is any member of the governing body, it's only Max and myself representing the governing body. If a third person would like to sit in on these meetings, you let me know.
You mean Mark and yourself?
Mark, we'll call him Mark.
You and I.
Yeah, don't insult him.
You said Max.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You insulted him.
Mark and I, so like I said, these meetings normally take place at the convenience of the planner and the COA attorney, so it's usually during the day. Any other things, Mark?
No, that's it.
Tony?
Two things, Mayor. Just like to report that if you go around town, you look at the fire hydrants, majority of all of the markers have been installed by the volunteers throughout the town, and those markers that are fiberglass markers that are reflective, that when people do not shovel their hydrants, we'll be able to still find the hydrant. But it's also not just for snow, it's also good for location of a hydrant even during the day or nighttime when we're pulling up to a fire or any other event that we need the fire hydrant. One other item that you're probably all aware that we have taken receipt of our new fire truck. And I think I would like to set up a time before one of our meetings that I bring everybody down and let you look at the truck and
Take a ride on the truck.
easy with the ride. Take a look at it.
Don't turn the siren on.
That's right.
That's right. Well, when we go by Mr. Robbins, I'm gonna turn them off.
So I'll make that, I'll find out what's acceptable to them and then see if we can work it out.
For what we paid for it, I'd like it for the weekend. Thank you, sir. Nadia?
Let's see, Recreation did not meet, and as long as I've been on Recreation, this is the first time that we actually did not have a quorum. And not sure what happened, but we will regroup next month. The senior committee meeting actually did not happen either because the chair of the meeting wasn't available, so that meeting was canceled as well. And TVAC met this week. They had a very successful blood drive. They had more units of blood donated than they anticipated, and I want to thank our mayor for being one of those who donated blood this time around. They had, I think, 23 units of blood donated, and they were only expecting somewhere in the ballpark of 18, so that was really good of our community to step forward and donate blood. They'll probably try and do another donation in July. They did run into a few problems with advertising the blood drive. And I will speak to the chamber about this and the bid as well, that a lot of businesses were reluctant to hang up signs advertising the blood drive, and they didn't understand why that was so, because it was such a altruistic event for the community to donate. So they were shocked that they were running into that problem, that stores did not want to put up a sign for the blood drive. Because of the blood drive, the Board of Health had some questions about it. And Cheryl from the TVAC went over to a Board of Health meeting, and it was really, and I wasn't at the Board of Health meeting, but what I got from Cheryl was that it was very informational exchange of information between what TVAC does and the calls they respond to and what the Board of Health does. So as long as I've been here, I don't ever remember that exchange of information, and it was really good for both groups to understand what one does and what the other does. So that was pretty good. They set up their annual dinner for June 13th, so everybody can mark their calendar. Their awards dinner for the TVAC will be June 13th.
It's a dinner?
The boat.
Yeah.
The boat.
More booze and more food.
Also, let's see, they went over their list of events. You remember we had asked, or they had asked, that when we're having townwide events, they want to be in the loop with regard to, you know, if there's the 5K, that they know that they have more people on staff that day. So they just, I know that they didn't have one of them, they didn't have the Safe at Home tournament. So I let them know about that. And I don't know whether that falls through you or not, because they did say that you are, you know, letting them know when events come. So, you know, when we're having 10 outside teams compete at a softball tournament, and it's happening Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, TVAC will make sure that they have enough people on staff, and, you know, heaven forbid there's an emergency out on the field.
Yeah, it was just a timing factor this time around. We always give it to them after our meeting, but our meeting was canceled due to the snow day. So there was just a little gap.
A timing.
But
Yeah.
I did give Cheryl the update.
So they, you know, they go through the rundown with the volunteers, and they just make sure they have enough people for the days that they know that the events will be happening.
Can I just ask a question on concerning the ambulance?
Yeah.
And it's a related question. The building like at Sunnyside and our, you know, the snack shack over
Yeah.
here, do we have defibrillators in those buildings that can be used in the event of an emergency?
I thought we had it at Sunnyside for sure. I don't know if it's at the snack shack, but there should be something at the municipal, because I thought all of our fields have defibrillators.
There's one at the Sunnyside?
I'm almost positive there was one at Sunnyside. I can double check on that.
I have to
But
say that.
we need also make sure that they're accessible in some
Yeah.
fashion. I mean,
The Board of Health is going to do also a inventory of all our defibrillator CPR and all the systems that are available, and trying to publish a list so we know where they are, so then, you know, the council can look and say, okay, we need that here, we need that there. So we'll have that very shortly. And-
Well, go ahead, yeah.
If you finish, only one.
No, we are going to have, you know, we are offering for the first time all of our coaches that want to participate CPR. So they're all, will be instructed. Anybody who wants to volunteer who's a coach can get certified as a CPR.
Did you have something?
They were talking about Sunnyside Park and having
Sunnyside,
like a mobile AED somewhere on site?
Yeah.
Outside of rec,
no, in the park facilities. I
Okay.
thought they had it in the box there. I'll double check on that.
Okay, Max, you have something?
Yes, the Board of Health met, and just to complement what Nadia said, Cheryl was over there presenting the activities of the ambulance corps, and everybody was extremely congratulatory about the work that the ambulance corps is doing. So congratulations, Nadia. Really, really very, very, very well presented. Cheryl presented the work, and was the first time that they had this open exchange about what the Board of Health is doing, what the ambulance corps is doing, and what they want to be doing together. And not only that, but it was a way of saying how well the ambulance corps is doing. And I'm going to give you an example, even though it's not it was basically, we had 10 people going to get the exams, and what Cheryl has done is she is requiring, even though the town is going to pay for those exams and they cost $1,300, she's requesting that people that go for those tests to put the money up front, and they're going to be reimbursed, so they have skin in the game. And all our 10 people passed. In Edgewater, in Edgewater, the town pays up front, and they send 10 kids, 10 of them failed because they couldn't care less. There was no skin in the game. So that shows how well the ambulance corps is run over here.
Are there any situations, Max, where maybe somebody doesn't apply because they don't have $1,300 to put up for?
Is that they made an exception,
An exception.
and anybody that doesn't have the money is going to be covered up front. So they do not, any hardship that's immediately taken care
The
of.
course was free to begin with, and
Yeah.
then it was cut. So
Yeah.
after it was cut, we instituted the fact, this governing body instituted the fact that you're going to pay for it up front. If you pass the course, then we reimburse you.
Then we discussed the issue of the influenza and what's going on, and the fact that the new vaccine is the past vaccine was kind of, unfortunately, very, very inefficient because the strain mutated, and now they are recommending a fourth strain type vaccine, ultra vaccine. What is important is that the CDC has now, another CDC, the Medicare has reimbursed now the group for their vaccines, and now they turn back to Tenafly $4,500, which is reimbursement for the vaccines cost that we have administered last year. So we're going to buy another 10,000 doses of vaccine. That's going to be the high, whatever they call activity.
For next year?
For next year, so we'll
High
have
dose.
the same program, high dose, high, it's going to be fourth strain and so on. We have a new member that was sworn in the group, and they discuss also the inspection of the restaurants and stuff like that. It's good to see that the very vast majority of the restaurants passed all the inspection. We have 4 restaurants that did not. I don't want to mention them because it's not important, and the representative of the Board of Health is working with them to make sure that they pass and pass now. What is also important to know is that they will raise the fees, and they're going to ask us to raise the fees for the actual establishments that fail to be re-inspected the second time. So it's not only a question of pestering them about it, but it's going to be a little bit of a cost out of pocket to make sure that they understand that nothing is free, and they abide by the law. To Dan's pleasant surprise, they inspected the new Korean Center, and everything was new and shiny, so they passed with shining colors there. Congratulations. And that's the end of the story.
Paul?
I have no report.
Peter, I'm sorry, I did have one other one. I had the bid. The bid had a meeting after we had our meeting with Downtown New Jersey. We ran through our elections again, and Stephanie Pasternak is now president of the bid. Carol is the vice president of the bid. Khalid is the treasurer of the bid, and Beth Kreitman is the secretary of the bid. The bid had agreed to pay to join the membership of Downtown New Jersey, and they're going to attend some courses and some events to see if they're, what they can get out of those things, offerings that they had. They are not in any agreement to move ahead with doing any kind of studies. They really would like to see what it is that downtown has to offer first, just wait. We're not spending any money other than complying with having our tax returns done, having our audit done, which is almost complete. Let's see, was there something else? The only thing that we are going to do is fix the banners. Some of the banners were taken down with the holiday decorations, so they have to be replaced. I think the DPW is holding on to some banners.
Well, the DPW took them down?
The
holiday banner?
took them down, so and I think the DPW is holding them. So
Can they put them back up for us?
if we're having this outside company do it, we'll have the outside company take care of, because some of the brackets were not stable.
About the equipment.
Yeah, it's about the equipment. So we're gonna have the banners, the money that we are spending, that we agreed to spend last year, is to really fix the banners and complete that project and fix some of the bare sites that we have with regard to that.
Okay.
And I think that was it with the bid.
Thank you. Under Mayor's remarks, I have two things. First of all, under the vestiges of the Mayor's Wellness Campaign, we're about to take a new initiative. It's called Conversation of a Lifetime. This was suggested by the State Mayor's Wellness Campaign. And this is basically an attempt to prepare people, and not necessarily the old and elderly, but people in general, for decisions that are made late in life, preparing for financially. And this has nothing really to do with burial or anything like that, but just financially and medically to be prepared for decisions that you might have to make at a moment's notice, rather than at that moment be unprepared to do so. So we're in the process of putting together a town-wide committee of people that have an interest in various aspects of this, and I think it's going to meet with a good reception. There seems to be a lot of interest in it, and it's a topic that unless you're wealthy and have a lot of advisors that you pay a lot of money for, a lot of people never even think about this sort of thing. And we're going to put it on people's radar screen and see if they're interested in learning about some of the things they might benefit from preparing for and doing earlier in life rather than later. The other thing I have is a proclamation which we talked briefly about some time ago, and that is honoring John Kraft, our bond counsel, and I'll read it. It's brief. Whereas John L. Kraft, Esquire, has served as Tenafly's bond counsel for longer than anyone can remember, and whereas John L. Kraft has provided Tenafly with impeccable and reliable service over that period of time, and whereas John L. Kraft in 1971 became New Jersey's first bond counsel, setting a tradition of excellence that continues today, and whereas the New Jersey Law Journal, recognizing his contributions to New Jersey's public finance laws, has chosen John L. Kraft to receive its first Lifetime Achievement Award. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Tenafly congratulate John L. Kraft, Esquire, on his receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award, and thank him for his continued service to the Borough of Tenafly. And with that, I'll ask our attorney to read the introduction to closed session.
Sure. Resolved in compliance with NJSA 10:4-12, the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Tenafly will go into closed executive session to discuss the following matters. First three are personnel matters. First is discussion of the Finance Department appointment. Second is an issue about a pending DPW employee complaint. The third, personnel matters, a DPW employee potential disciplinary action discussion. And the last is a matter falls under attorney-client privilege. That's the discussion of the swim club leases. Minutes will be taken in this meeting and released to the public at the time the matters are resolved. After this closed executive session, Mayor and Council will reconvene in the Richard D. Wilson Committee Room to adjourn this public meeting.
A motion to go into closed?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Thank you for attending tonight. We appreciate your interest, and have a safe trip home.